I'm injured. You know when you're like following a routine, building a good habit, being really consistent, and then bam, you get injured. Well, that's me. And it sucks. It also sucks because I have no idea what I did. It's been a few weeks and I injured my shoulder. It started here, which was actually an old injury, and now it's kind of migrated back here. And today, I want to talk about it. Not even specifically my injury, but just injuries in general, because I think that there's this idea that if you train, you'll never get injured, or like the whole purpose of training is to never feel pain again. And I think that that's really unrealistic, and I want to bring a little realism in. We also have to do our hair. So that's what we're gonna do. It's another episode of Do I Plug Too Many Things Into My Wall? Yeah. Great. So yeah, what I was saying about just like this idea that if you train, if you do strength training, if you exercise, this idea that like you're never gonna get injured or never going to have pain or discomfort because you're doing something good for your body. It just like everything in life, it's not black or white like that. I always look at strength training as like reducing the risk of injury long term, like zooming out, because absolutely with anything there's going to be risk. You know, you could be doing deadlifts and tweak your back. You could also be moving apartments and lift up a box and tweak your back. But I look at it as, well, if I am practicing that movement under weight or under load, I'm going to be less likely in real life to hurt myself. So again, it comes down to risk versus reward. If we zoom out even more with that lovely armpit shot that you're getting and look at like, you know, when you're 65, did you strength train throughout your life to build up your bone density so that when you inevitably trip and fall, because everyone does that at some point, you don't break your hip? So I talk about it a lot with like exercise selection of like, wow, we gotta switch this armpit view. I talk about it a lot with like exercise selection in general of like risk versus reward, but even this idea of like to train or not to train, is it worth the reward? And I think so. You know, when I think back to before I started strength training, I danced my whole life. I danced professionally in musical theater, and why is the lighting so weird? I was injured all the time. I'm telling you, the number of times that I have pulled my hamstrings, both of them, to varying degrees, anywhere from like, oh, a tweak, you know, kind of sidelined for a week or two, to like visible blood under the skin tear, going to physical therapy. Like, I've had it all happen. And a huge part of that was, even though I was fairly flexible, I had zero strength in my hamstrings. And that was because I didn't do anything to strengthen them. So of course, if I throw myself down into a split, I'm gonna pull something. Now, present day, am I as flexible as I was when I was dancing that much or when I was performing? No, but I also wasn't like crazy flexible ever. And I think a lot of that flexibility was like forced flexibility from forcing myself to stretch every day. Whereas like now I don't stretch every day, but once a week I am able to like pop myself down into splits in control without feeling like I'm going to tear something. So that was kind of a ramble as the armpit is back, but I think the point was to kind of show you like, yes, did I get my shoulder injury? I mean, again, I don't really know what I did, but it was probably in a session where I went too heavy. There's probably a weakness there, whatever. Did I get this injury from strength training? Yes. But is the risk worth the reward? Absolutely. Because what's the other option? The option is to not train at all and absolutely get injured. You're going to get injured at some point. You're going to experience pain or discomfort at some point. It's part of life. And if that happens, I have a few tips for you that are not only actionable, but also like mindset related. So if you find yourself with some kind of like soft tissue injury, the number one thing I always recommend is to go to a physical therapist. Obviously, that is not always accessible to some people. I know here in the good old US of A, there's quite a number of insurances that don't even cover physical therapy.
Because health insurance in this country is a scam.
So obviously paying for that out of pocket is not always accessible, or maybe you just work a job where you cannot get into a physical therapist that is covered under your insurance under the hours that you're not working. Like, I totally understand there is a barrier to entry there. But if you can see a physical therapist, that is the best thing to do, because it's better to get down to the root of what's going on than just second guess it. Now ask me if I've taken my first piece of advice. No, But also ask me if my health insurance covers physical therapy. Also no. You know, we just paid Q3 taxes. We're giving it a second. We're seeing if I can kind of just nurse it back to health on its own. And is that ideally what I should be doing? No. But again, we're being realistic. Not that it really matters or enhances this video in any way. I think it's a rotator cuff weakness. I know for a fact that I do have very, very weak external rotation here. So I'm just trying to like give it a little love, do some nice gentle exercises, some nice like rolling out of my pec, rolling out of my, what's the one on the back? Supraspinatus. Right? And is that ideally what you should be doing? No, but it's what I'm doing right now. But if you can, go see a physical therapist. If this isn't better in another week, I already made the agreement with myself. I will go pay out of pocket to go see someone. Second piece of advice, do what you can. Just because, let's say you have a shoulder injury, just because you have a shoulder injury does not mean that you cannot work out at all. What I have been doing is just kind of ditching my plan for the time being and just focused on more lower body stuff, focused on stuff where I don't need to load the shoulder. And, you know, does it suck because I've been really consistent in my programming right now? Yeah. Does it suck because I've also just been really motivated in my programming right now? Yeah. But again, if we zoom out and look at like the big picture of things, this is a drop in the bucket. This, if I had to guess, month of, you know, taking away from my programming, it doesn't matter in the long run. I would rather right now just nurse the habit of getting my butt to the gym than stop altogether. Even if I just go to the gym and do mobility, even if I just go to the gym and do my little rotator cuff strengthening exercises, even just getting myself there, that's half of the battle. Once I'm in the gym, I'm usually like, oh, I'm good to go. Like, I'm here. Why would I not do it? So that's my focus right now. Do what you can. And then I guess I kind of already got to my third point, but just, you know, zoom out, look at the big picture. Most soft tissue injuries, as long as you are treating them appropriately, in the grand scheme of your whole life, I would hope that it is a very, very small part of it. You have to be patient. You have to give your body that time to heal, or else you're simply going to lengthen out the time that you're sidelined. So that's my pep talk for the day. We have one more strand of hair. Ha! Ooh. We're very, very tightly wound today. All right, that's a look. So it's definitely a little bit rambly. Hopefully there were some little gems, some little nuggets in there. I had like a whole script and I feel like I didn't look at it once, so that's always good. Let me know how you've dealt with an injury down below. I feel like this is something that isn't always talked about, and it's like, oh, if you're injured, you did something wrong, and there's no moral failing if you get an injury. It's part of life, it's part of training, it's part of not training. It does not make you worse as a human being. So I look forward to reading your experiences down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and I will see you all in the next one.